Hey, Riff listeners, we've got a great treat for you today. We have some guests joining us from one of North Point's favorite partners, Pregnancy Care Center, today. They're going to sit down with Jeremy and they're going to talk about their mission and vision and why Pregnancy Care Center is one of our favorite partners of what they're doing here in the Springfield surrounding area. Let's welcome our guests today and dive into this episode.
Well, welcome to another episode of The Riff. I am Jeremy, and I have a couple of friends who are here today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but they are part of the team at Pregnancy Care Center, and Pregnancy Care Center is one of our partners for North Point Church, a partner that actually is based out of Springfield, but has a wide impact. And so today we want to hear a little bit about what Pregnancy Care Center does, why they do that, how we can be a part of it. And so I've been looking forward to this. So I'm going to let our guests introduce who they are and tell us a little bit about themselves. I'm going to start with you, Mindy.
Yes, thank you, Jeremy. My name is Mindy Martins.
And Mindy and I, we're friends. We've known each other. One of my first Springfield friends was the Martins family.
Yes,
so,
you are right. What, 10 years ago?
Yes.
Yes.
But we're super polished on these podcasts. But yes, you are Mindy.
Yes.
Mindy.
So I am Mindy Martins, and I am the Alternatives to Abortion Coordinator at Pregnancy Care Center, and I also work as the counselor on staff.
Okay. Now, how long have you been with Pregnancy Care Center?
I have been there total 7 years, the Alternatives to Abortion Coordinator for 5 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And you are a resident Nixa campus champion.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
Some of you might know Mindy. And Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Sarah Lawson. I'm the campus coordinator at PCC, and this is a new effort at Pregnancy Care Center. We just see the need to reach out to students because that's the demographic that we serve.
Okay, so campus coordinator, meaning school campuses,
right.
College campuses?
Yep, colleges and high schools.
Okay.
I'm starting with the colleges, but I am one human, so I am trying to prioritize, but we're starting with the colleges because we just see a huge opportunity there.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I think it would be helpful to just start with talking a little bit about what is the Pregnancy Care Center? I would imagine the whole topic and conversation of pregnancy care, of abortion, of alternatives, of choices is rarely a neutral term. And so I'm assuming those who are listening, you're probably wondering, okay, what are we talking about today? What is the Pregnancy Care Center? And so let's just start with the mission. And I'm going to throw out questions, and I forget which department best fields this.
Sure.
So, but Sarah, why don't you start telling us a little bit about what is the mission of the Pregnancy Care Center?
Sure. So our mission is saving lives, strengthening families. And we do that through free resources to women and men who are facing unplanned pregnancy in our community. So we are a nonprofit. We're more than 90% funded by the community, and that's how we are able to offer those services at no cost to our clients. But we just see that this is a need in our community. We see that unplanned pregnancy is often, you feel alone, you feel scared. It's in some cases, the most difficult thing you're ever going to face. And so we enter into that with a voice of love and compassion. And that's really what our approach is all about, is compassion, and we're motivated by that love that we have for other people. But many of us on our staff have experienced unplanned pregnancy and abortion. And so we're able to enter in from a place of, I've been there, and we just want to help.
Wow. So saving lives, strengthening families. With that mission, what are some of the programs? And I know there are a lot of programs, so this might not be an exhaustive list, but what are some of the programs that help you save lives and strengthen families?
Sure. So it all starts with a pregnancy test.
Okay.
And we have a medical staff. We are overseen by an OBGYN here in Springfield. On top of that, we have a nursing staff, and they administer free pregnancy tests to clients who come in. And at that first appointment, we just sit down and say, hey, what's going on in your life. We just want to get to know you. We just want to help you in a safe environment.
Right.
So at that first appointment, they receive the pregnancy test, they receive information on their pregnancy options, and oftentimes they'll also receive a free ultrasound at that appointment as well. After that, we have a whole program of one-on-one coaching, and Mindy can talk a little bit more about that too, because she's been a volunteer coach before. But it's this place to walk alongside them throughout the entire pregnancy and up to a year after the baby is born. That coaching is offered for men and women because we're just crazy enough to believe that dads matter to their kids. And so we offer the coaching one-on-one for men as well. Yeah. We also have a very robust education arm at PCC. So we have more than 100 classes offered between in-person and online. And it's not just parenting and pregnancy classes like you would anticipate us to have. And we do offer those classes, but it's also life skills and self-care classes. Because oftentimes it's not just the unplanned pregnancy that they're facing as a crisis. They have a multitude of other things going on in their life. So we see an opportunity to educate them in all facets of their life, from budgeting to managing stress and anger, things that I need and that everybody needs. And so we offer those at no cost as well to the community. You don't even have to have an unplanned pregnancy to receive that education.
Wow. Now, part of that, I believe there's like how to change a diaper classes for dads, probably for everybody, but
what to do when your baby's choking, all of those things that you need to know.
Things that, I think that was probably one of the things for my wife and I when we had our first child is that fear. And we had a supportive family. We actually had a very supportive community, but we were woefully unprepared to be parents. Yes. And we had no clue until we checked out of the hospital. And one of the things I was impressed with in getting to know a little bit more of the organization is how much of that just life training and parent equipping that is there. Mindy, tell us a little bit about coaching. What does coaching look like? Why did you enjoy that role?
So coaching is really powerful. When a client comes in, they are able to come in. Really, it's kind of up to them. They're kind of in the driver's seat, whether they want to come in once a week, whether they want to come in once a month. It's kind of up to them. But it's usually at least once a month. And the coach or mentor, or what we call them coaches, but they're really kind of a mentor, they are able to build a strong relationship with that client. So it's always the same coach that they have. So each time they come in, they are able to trust that I am going to be able to meet my coach that day. It's not going to be someone new. A lot of times these gals and guys that come in, they don't have that person that believes in them, that trusts them. They've never been told you're valuable. They've never been told you can do this. So they meet that person that is supportive, that encourages them, and they meet with them for 45 minutes to an hour, and they walk through a number of different, they can look like, sometimes it's things to do with parenting, be the best mom you can be, whether it be on self-care, nutrition, things to do with how to take care of your baby, or it can be on, value as a person, self-confidence, what to do when you're in an unhealthy relationship, how to set boundaries. So it can look like a number of things, but this can go on throughout the whole pregnancy, and as Sarah said, up to a year after the baby. Wow. So it's an amazing, really powerful tool for these clients that really changes the whole course of their life. So the transformation that takes place in their life is really evident from the time they walk into PCC, from that first pregnancy test, from the time they leave with their baby, months later is really neat to see. It's really like watching a miracle right in front of our eyes. So.
And we, in our coach workroom, where our coaches do their notes and they come in and kind of process after the sessions with their clients, we have this beautiful display, an art display of a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. And it's 5 images, I believe, and it's the first one is the butterfly in the cocoon, and the last one is this beautiful, vibrant butterfly. And that's a reminder for our coaches because they hear some very difficult things in those sessions.
Yeah.
And so it's a reminder to them of why we're there, because that first session, they are closed off. They are scared. They feel alone. They feel overwhelmed. But by the end of it, they're coming in with their baby and showing it off to the entire staff. And they're so excited because of the knowledge and the skills that they've learned at PCC.
Yeah, I love how art will communicate like that.
Yeah.
I dabble in art a little bit.
We have heard.
We heard that.
We have a painting. I don't want to
Educated
make it
on that
about
today.
me, but if you notice a painting, if you're watching it, I might have done that. So obviously, the topic of abortion, choice, whatnot becomes real political or faith-based on either side. And so while I don't assume that we don't have real life people who have opinions that are part of this thing, so a couple of quick questions that might be not obvious to listener is, do you cram Jesus down people's throat at the Pregnancy Care Center? Do they have to sign up for a certain denomination for them to receive services? Do they have to sign up for a certain political party affiliation to receive services? Can you kind of speak to some of those maybe misconceptions or fears that there's an agenda here? What does this look like?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. At PCC, we hold absolutely no judgment. So, I think there's a lot of misconceptions with PCC, and it's unfortunate, but there are a lot of misconceptions. Yes. But our role is to love and to serve, regardless of who you are. Yeah. And I can say that, honestly. Yeah. And so regardless of, we don't discriminate. So we do not shove Jesus down your throat. Yeah. I know there have been some misconceptions about that. And I think, I'm thinking of as far as with, in my office, I've had some instances where clients have, maybe had some fears about that and have voiced them to me. And, we've had some conversations and talked about that. And, by the time they've left that day, they have felt at ease because I've expressed, there's absolutely no pressure. Yeah. We don't hold, we don't have any expectation. Yeah. And once they hear that, and it's kind of like you can even see in their physical response, oh, okay, because they come in thinking, and I think, it just popped into my mind, even last week, there was a girl that came off the elevator and you could just see the fear in her eyes, and she started to fill out the intake, and she got to a certain question, and something triggered an emotion, and she laid the thing down, and she jumped in the elevator, and she said, I can't do this, and she left. And our front desk gal,
who are angels, by the way.
They're wonderful.
They're amazing.
Chased her down got in the elevator, went down, and she came back up, and we talked with her, calmed her nerves, and she was considering abortion. She told us her story. She said, I just can't do this. It's an unplanned pregnancy. I'm not in the right space. Yeah. Not the right timing. There's no way I can do this. I'm going to make an appointment for an abortion. And she was very, very determined to have an abortion. We met with her. We gave her an ultrasound that day. She saw her baby's heartbeat, and we talked with her. And she left that day, and she still hadn't made up her mind. Yeah. But she came in the next day, and she said, "I've thought about it, and I want to parent my baby."
Wow.
And, that's just an example to show, you never know. These girls come in, and they come in with all these preconceived ideas and misconceptions, as with our community, but we're not there to judge. We're not there. We have no discrimination. Yeah. So we're just there to love.
That's one of the things I love about being able to partner as a church with Pregnancy Care Center, because my faith wants to fight for the opportunity to give life at every possible situation. I also believe the way of Jesus is to do so in such a grace-filled, judgment-free opportunity that attracts life. And when we're able to partner with your organization, I believe that you're able to go to somebody in such a vulnerable situation and offer help, not control what help they take, but just provide that. So I'm so proud of I would say the posture or the attitude of Pregnancy Care Center. I love the drive and the mission of Pregnancy Care Center, but I think that's important for people to know. If you're in a situation, dad or mom, and unplanned or scared or unprepared, to be able to say, okay, I don't need to worry about being talked into anything. I just want to be able to have people who can hear and understand. And what you were saying is people on this team know there's empathy there.
That's right.
I will say this, though, on the other side of it, I had a gal that I had met with for months, and she had delivered her baby, and we had still met, and she had come to a great place, and she was, had changed a lot of things in her life and taken some great steps to change her life. We had built a great, strong relationship, and we were meeting one day, and she had come to me and said, I've taken all these great steps, and I just am not sure, there's something missing. And I was able to lead her to Christ that day in my office.
That's awesome.
So there, on the other side of it, once you do build that relationship, and when they are searching, I think that's kind of Christ's example. Once we have built that relationship and built that trust, we are able to lead them to Christ. So,
and it seems to be very natural as someone who is able to enter into a relationship at a very vulnerable and fearful time to be able to provide a reflection of Jesus. It is going to be a natural opportunity. Tell me a little bit about what is a typical day at the Pregnancy Care Center? Is there a typical day at the Pregnancy Care Center?
I don't know that you want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
This is G-rated.
Well, my mom doesn't think I'm always G-rated,
Okay.
but like is it unpredictable every day?
Yeah.
Sarah's scared what I might say.
Our click rate just went through the roof.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
It's too early in the morning.
I mean,
I'll let Sarah answer.
Well, we deal with a lot at PCC, a lot of different situations. We could have a girl come in with the guy, and he is pressuring her to get an abortion, but she doesn't want to have an abortion, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And we are trying to figure out, how do we handle this in a respectful, loving way without pitting them against each other,
And it is, we always try to be really careful that we are not making the decision for them. I think that's another misconception.
Yeah.
Misconception.
Wow, that's good.
We do not, it is always the client's decision.
Yes.
We do not force any of our opinions. We lay out the education, we lay out the resources, and they are the bottom line.
It is their choice.
Yes, it is their choice. So that is, we want to make that very clear.
Yes.
Another thing that we are, I think, dealing with more and more in our culture and generation is just a lot more, I don't know what you're wanting to say.
I don't know what you're wanting to say.
We have to be really careful with a lot of,
I know what you're wanting to say now.
You do know what I'm wanting to say.
Yeah.
We have to be really careful not to discriminate with gender issues, with with role issues, with identity issues. So you asked what our day-to-day looks like. A lot of that coming in.
Researching and how do we handle this and that. And
without coming across discriminating.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the landscape of which you provide great service changes so
Right.
quickly,
Yes.
I would imagine.
Even
dime.
with our restrooms, who can
Right.
use what restroom? I mean,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
we really have to just be very intentional with everything we do.
Yeah.
And keep that loving approach to it
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
There's a balance.
Right.
There's a
And
balance.
without ending up on the nightly news.
Yes. Yeah. That's our nightmare.
Yeah, you know, I feel the same way sometimes.
Absolutely.
Is people will sometimes want to politicize or add an agenda to any
Right.
method that we take.
That's
and so you just
right.
got to be careful because you want to be able to love and honor and bring
Right.
dignity to your
Right.
mission.
Right.
And even though sometimes it might be confusing to others, but man,
Yeah, that's our motive.
just focus
Absolutely.
on the person who needs the care.
At the end of the day, we're not there to turn our clients into pro-lifers
No,
or
no.
pro-choicers or a pro-whatever, a label.
Right.
We're just there to love them and help
Yeah.
them. It's not about labels or their choices or anything like that. Going back to what you were saying with our approach and misconceptions, I tell students on campus all the time because they say, oh, I've heard of Pregnancy Care Center, but don't you talk women out of having abortions? Isn't that why you're there? And I say, you know, I think that there is a misconception in our community that people think we are a bunch of old church ladies and we're trying to talk women out of having abortions. And I always tell them, do I look like an old church lady to you? I hope the answer is no. But if you saw our staff and you saw our volunteers and the people who work one-on-one with the clients, it's not what people think.
Right.
And so I'm very passionate about challenging that misconception in particular.
I still have Dana Carvey's image in my mind from Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
I believe that was a good role for him. So he is not the face of Pregnancy Care Center.
That's exactly right.
No,
That's a no.
Tell us about what you love the most about what you do.
Wow.
That's a good question. I don't work with clients as much as I used to. I transitioned to the campus role about 4 months ago.
Yeah.
But I love it when we have a client in the building who has just brought their baby in for the first time and we're all passing around this baby and it's just this miracle. Every life is a miracle.
Yeah.
But I just look at these little babies that they may not have had a chance and now they do.
Yeah.
And I think that might be my favorite part.
Yeah.
Those are good days.
Yeah, I think mine has to do with that. More so is maybe the mom when she has the transformation.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah. I think just seeing her that beginning day when she comes in and feels like absolutely no hope, you know, I kind of can relate to that because I have been there. And so I know that feeling of, you know, being in that unplanned situation and you just feel like there's no hope. And then to see her months later holding this little baby and just feeling like I did it, you know.
Empowered.
Yes, and I can do this. And yes, it's hard. And yes, I've had to change some things in my life, but I can do it. And just to see her on a path to success, I think that's my favorite thing. Yeah.
What would you say to someone who might be listening, but I know that this represents a lot of people out there who just found out the most overwhelming news possible that they have an unplanned pregnancy and they do not know who to turn. What would you say to someone who might be listening, who has all these emotions they're trying to navigate, all these expectations and pressures? You know, how do you even encourage them?
I would say my number one thing to say is just take a deep breath and think past this moment because life does go on. You know, you're not always going to be in this moment, you know, because I think back to when I was in that situation and I just was not thinking past that moment. And I think that was the thing that got me is just I could not get over, you know, right now. And so if you can kind of just think, you know, it will be okay. Yes, it's going to be tough, but life is tough. There's going to, if it's not this, it's going to be something else, you know?
Yeah.
So if you can just think past this moment, it will be okay. You know, life is going to be okay. It will go on. You know, my big thing was, you know, I had all these plans And I think that's a big thing with a lot of people is they have all these plans, or they have parents they don't want to tell, or they have, there's always the one thing, but this. And, if you can just think, that one thing, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That one thing will be fine. You will move on. And when you're, 10 years down the road, that one thing is not going to be there, or it's not going to be a biggie. Right now, it's a really biggie, and it is a big deal. But in 10 years, it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So if they can just get over that moment, it will be okay.
Yeah.
And we often tell them too, you don't have to make this decision right now.
Right.
In this
just
second.
take a breath and don't make a big hurry decision. Yeah.
Because it feels like a quick fix.
Right.
But it's not.
Yeah.
And so we try to speak that wisdom and truth. And Mindy is so good at that as well. She's amazing.
The other thing we do, and I know, a lot of people, are affected by abortion or know somebody that's affected by abortion, which, does affect them. So we do, do some post-abortive counseling at the center. So that is something that is very
close to our hearts.
Yes,
because
yes.
there is hope and there is life and there's healing for these women. And that's something really close to my heart. I want them to know that you have worth. Yes. You have people who love you and want to help you through that difficult time and a healing journey.
So if there's anyone listening that would like that, we would be happy to offer that.
And it's very confidential and free. And
Have you ever had an opportunity to meet with someone? They chose to have an abortion, even as they had a chance to weigh out some options, but then still walk them through that process afterwards?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a beautiful journey that's also difficult.
Yes. Yeah. But it's grace. I mean, that's the beautiful
grace
thing
that
of
we all
Jesus.
have.
Yeah.
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 Well, I want to ask about funding. I assume, I know a little bit about Pregnancy Care Center, that you're all a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how is the whole mission funded? I mean, you don't have a certain percentage of state revenue that comes in allotted towards you. So how does that work?
Yep. So we are more than 90% funded by the community. That's individuals, churches like North Point, and businesses who have just said, we believe in what PCC is doing. Yeah. And they partner with us financially, whether it's, monthly or annually. And we, like I said earlier, we can't do what we do without that, obviously. So more than 90% comes from right here, Springfield, Missouri, people who invest in our mission. A small percentage does come from a grant from the state of Missouri called Alternatives to Abortion. And Mindy is our expert on that because she's the coordinator. But basically it gives us extra funds that we can help our clients our most vulnerable clients who need a little extra help financially. So a small portion of our budget does come from that, but the vast majority is right here in Springfield.
How much of your budget comes from intake fees, coaching fees from the client?
Oh, zero, because it's all free. I was like, is this a trick question?
No, I know that, but that's why I just want to make sure everyone who's listening understands everything you do is absolutely free.
Yes, every service.
To those you serve.
Yes, that's
so
right.
if you're listening, and here's how it works in my life. Sometimes I just feel like God will speak to me and say, hey, just do this. I would encourage you, if you're listening and you feel like, you got some margin to be able to help out, where can someone go right now to contribute financially?
Wonderful. So our website, 417pcc.org, there's a give button in the top right corner. Folks can give there. You can bring a check by the center. If you have questions about your gift, you can give us a call, and our staff would be happy to help. We also, right now through the state, have 70% unlimited 70% tax credits available. So let's say you make a gift of $100 to Pregnancy Care Center. You will get $70 of that back on your taxes if you owe the state. So $70 will be deducted from what you owe the state.
Okay.
So it's a pretty incredible thing that the state has done, and we're able to do that because we have a pro-life legislature here in Missouri, and we're really grateful for their work on that. So if you have questions about that, you can contact us.
And I know
too.
tax credit's a big deal. We get asked
Yes.
about that from time to time,
Right.
and people literally, there are people who are just looking for someone who has tax credits.
Right.
That also has a great mission. And
That's
so
right.
if you're listening, I mean, I just pray that you take a next step if you have one there. As a church, we're honored to partner with you. We believe in what you're doing. We believe that what you're doing is changing lives.
Mm-hmm.
We believe what you're doing is changing perspective. And we want to make sure that you continue to be a resource of life and a full service of life, so that life is not just getting a baby to be born, but a life of helping a family succeed and helping a mom thrive. And I love that you have led the way in that. So thank you for doing what you're doing. In our last moments, I just would love to, if you have a story that kind of you're like, hey, this is just a story of how the mission has made an impact, right? As people consider giving or people consider coming in for a conversation, do you have a story that comes to mind of this represents how this mission is really making an impact? And I'm springing it on you, but
I'm giving this to Mindy because she knows the client stories. You know them.
Well, I have many stories. The one I can think of is a gal that I saw. We'll call her Sarah because I'm looking at you.
Fabulous.
So, one thing that is really, really a challenge right now that we're seeing is the abortion pill. So a lot of our clients are really facing, and I'll let you say a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's becoming more and more accessible. So they can get it online. They can order it without...
Like an Amazon package.
Yes.
So it's
very
way
easy to get.
too
Straight to
quick
their
and
door.
convenient.
That's
and,
right. That's right.
For people to be able to involve others in decisions.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it is supposed to be at-home abortion. You take the 2 pills. It's supposed to be... They market it as this very cute, easy process, but we know that it's not.
There's like
And
TikTok tutorials on how to do it with
it's
real cute girls.
extremely
It's really
sad.
attractive to
And it's
young girls.
easy, it's cheap. They don't have to show ID a lot of the time. You don't have to prove your age. You don't
Claire's
anything
ear
like that.
piercing
Yes.
has higher.
Exactly. That's
So
right.
This is
That's
what
right.
we're kind of fighting
Yes.
against.
Yeah.
So I had a gal come in, and she was really struggling. Unplanned pregnancy, bad situation, no baby daddy around. And she disclosed that she had the abortion pills in her pocket. And she said, "I really just feel like this is my only choice." And so we talked for a while, and she went and got her ultrasound in our other room, and she saw the baby's heartbeat, and she said, that really was powerful to her. She said, "I just don't know if I can do it." And so we talked for a little bit longer, and she left. And so I went back to my office, and I just was like, not having a good feeling about this. And then I got the receptionist called me, and she said, "Hey, can you come up to the front desk?" So I went up there, and Sarah was up there. And she said, "Hey, I want to give you something." And she handed me her abortion pills. Said, "I just want you to keep these." And I said, "Well, what does this mean?" And she said, "I want to continue with this pregnancy."
Wow.
So, of course, I kept the pills, was not sure what I was going to do with them. But she continued the pregnancy, and she met with me for the rest of the pregnancy. I supported her. We did a lot of counseling, and she grew so much, and she just is an amazing girl.
Yeah.
And
The most beautiful baby. And
beautiful
kids.
baby. She ended up, now she's married, found a really godly husband, and she's doing incredible. So that was a really powerful story, that she had him in her pocket, and she had been carrying those around for over a week. And she just, the emotional and even spiritual battle that had been in her mind was just powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up today, I for those who are listening and thinking about this, for maybe you're here and you've never been impacted by an unplanned pregnancy, I would just challenge you to understand it's more complicated than you can ever imagine, and when it becomes personal, it's just hard to categorize judgment. And so I would encourage those of you who have never been impacted personally by an unplanned pregnancy, just slow down, think, and just be a reflection of love, and not try and put this whole topic into a category. And those of you who have been impacted by an unplanned pregnancy, I hope you know how wildly you're loved. I hope you know how valued you are and how much resource and help to be able to come alongside of you that there is, no matter when and how your situation has come about. So thank you so much, Sarah and Mindy, for joining us today. We're thrilled to be able to partner with you as a church, and may your impact continue to grow in this area.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. Submit a question for the podcast at northpointchurch.tv/podcast. We'll have a brand new episode every week wherever you find podcasts.